Hello, good morning. A warm welcome, thanks very much. They didn't tell me this would be at Disney World when I signed up for this. You're right, it's a little different, isn't it, Dr. Wilson, from the last time we came together. And I'm so glad that we can join one another in 3D at such an incredibly important time. Stephanie just shared with me some news that is hot off the press that I just wanted to share here, because I know there's a lot of interest here in this region, which is that literally moments ago we were able to authorize $50 million in emergency relief funding for Florida for the Hurricane Ian recovery, and really want to thank everybody who was part of making that possible. And a fitting note to begin on, of course, because that's an example of where we wouldn't have been able to move quickly if it were not for the side-by-side work that we do with state partners, with folks on the ground assessing the need, and then doing everything in our power to meet the need. So I want to thank our colleagues, especially our colleagues with Florida DOT, who have had obviously so much on your shoulder, and we're glad to be in your backyard and here to be helpful any way that we can. Let me thank Dr. Wilson for your introduction, for your perfectly fitting wardrobe thematically, and for your leadership, and want to recognize Roger Millar as well, and say we're looking forward to continuing our work with all of you individually and collectively with AASHTO in your respective work. And I want to congratulate former President Sheehan on her appointment as Executive Director at TRB, which is another very close partner of the department, and look forward to working with you in that capacity. And just one more acknowledgement, which is our own Gloria Shepard has been named as Federal Highways Executive Director. Where is Gloria? There you are. So congratulations. Now everybody knows who to mob at the end of the panel, and I know she's no stranger to many here, but look forward to that continued partnership. I'll try to be brief because I'm really looking forward to the back and forth in the conversation. I just want to start with one reflection on the moment that we're in, which is the best of times to be working in transportation, and also the toughest of times. And I think the latter may not be widely understood, but I know this is your experience every day. After all, if you think about it, between the things that have impacted our workforces, everything from passenger air travel cancellation and delays to container shipping backups and everything in between, we're actually living through the most sustained and multifaceted set of disruptions to the transportation system, with the partial exception of 9/11, the most sustained and complex set of interruptions in the post-war era. And you all have been on the forefront of dealing with that. But so many of the reasons for those challenges are temporary, whereas the infrastructure that we're building together right now is permanent. It's going to be serving us for the rest of our lives, which is why it's the best of times and it's the toughest of times, but mostly it's the best of times. And we're working together to make that a reality. And that can't become a reality, of course, without your leadership. States are, of course, responsible for deploying the vast majority of funds in the infrastructure law. And AASHTO itself collectively has a very important role to play when it comes to interstate coordination, sharing resources, exchanging strategies, comparing best practices, cooperating across those geographic boundaries to deliver a national transportation system that works for every person living in this country. In just a few weeks, we're going to be celebrating the official one-year anniversary of that legislation and President Biden signing the infrastructure law. And I want to mention also that that historic achievement, the very passage of that law, was also possible because of the tireless work of so many people who are here in this room. The very passage of that law is something of a modern political miracle in today's Washington, a generational undertaking of historic proportions with support from both sides of the aisle. Such things are, in fact, possible after being talked about for decades, are now being achieved. I remember that legislation being declared dead more than once, but the President believed in it, you believed in it, and we have kept our promise now to deliver that for the American people. Now, last time we got together, we talked about how the hard part had ended and the even harder but arguably more fun part had begun. And I think that's just what we've seen in recent months. This year alone, we made over $89 billion from the infrastructure law available, with another $10 billion on the way. And of those funds, state transportation DOTs and other funding recipients have already put $58 billion to use. And we appreciate how quickly you are working to bring those projects to life. We rolled out the National Roadway Safety Strategy, something new in kind for us, and a roadmap to drive down the heartbreaking and unacceptable number of traffic deaths that we see every year. We've unveiled historic new efforts to advance transportation equity, like the Reconnecting Communities program, aiming to repair the effects of choices made in the past and build stronger, healthier, and fairer communities for the future. We announced $7 billion in the Protect program, designed to help communities build resilient infrastructure that can withstand the kind of extreme weather that Floridians just experienced and that we're all going to be facing more and more in the years ahead. We have approved plans from all 50 states, as well as DC and Puerto Rico, to begin working on that national electric vehicle charging network that'll bring the benefits and the savings that come with EVs to every part of the country. And we managed to do it ahead of schedule, again, thanks to this great partnership, and did all of it while creating good-paying jobs for American workers. There are many challenges, of course, as we know. We've got to make sure those projects are built by American workers and businesses and with American-made materials and goods, which is especially important to this administration, as you know. We need to ensure a fair share of the contracts go to small businesses and minority-owned businesses that can create some of the most transformative opportunities with this. So I want to make sure you're aware that at DOT we are working on a major update to our DBE programs. And it's why we're so pleased that 6 of the geographies represented here, California, DC, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, and Michigan, pledged to create opportunities for historically underutilized businesses with infrastructure law funding. We applaud that work, and we encourage all of you to consider doing the same. So with your help, Washington is delivering this historic funding. Now it's up to all of us to make sure that these resources go to the best possible use so that they make a profound and lasting difference in people's lives. Put simply, our goal is to deliver good projects well. And as is often the case, so many of the best ideas and examples have come from the states. It's been my pleasure to travel these last few months across the country, see all the ways you're putting these funds to work, and bring transformative projects to life. Was just with Vice President Millar in Wenatchee, in Washington State, celebrating the Apple Capital Loop, our largest infra grant from last year, to strengthen supply chains, reduce traffic, and improve public safety, not to mention deliver some very tasty apples to grocery stores and kitchen tables, not just nationwide, but also exporting them and creating more income for the U.S. I was with Secretary Lawrence in Kansas City at one of the chillier press conferences in my tenure in this job in January, as we were opening applications for those RAISE grants, the largest round we've ever had. And sure enough, in August, Kansas was among the recipients of those grants 2 times over, one for a bridge replacement project, another for a trails project in Flint Hills. In May, it was in Las Vegas. Are you all alphabetical? There we are, Director Swallow, breaking ground on that Tropicana interchange in I-15. Replacing an old bridge, improving access ramps, doubling the width of the sidewalks, adding advanced traffic safety features, while dramatically improving that trip in and out of the Strip. I could go on, but I just want to highlight a few of these innovative, groundbreaking, transformative projects that are coming to life thanks to the people in this room. And just last week, we were together at the White House, Dr. Wilson, incoming President Millar, and others, discussing how we can accelerate the delivery of those projects. And we know that part of that is engaging the community early and often. I know there's a view that community engagement tends to slow a project down, but if we work together, we can actually make sure the reverse is true. And that's why we released a new guide on best practices for public engagement, because we think we can team up with project planners to deliver better, faster results for the entire community by doing that engagement early and often so that there aren't 11th hour issues. And I'll give you an example on that. In Detroit, Director Adjba's here. We were celebrating just a few weeks ago $100 million that'll help transform I-375 as it currently divides the community, like a gash, really. We're going to elevate it and see that become a new boulevard that'll reunite the community. And the state and the city, as they went forward on that project, got so much community input and community support on the front end that we were able to avoid layers of review and get through NEPA more quickly. And so the Michigan DOT deserves a lot of credit for that thoughtful and ultimately more efficient approach that we think can be a lesson as we look at opportunities across the country. So there's a lot to discuss, from workforce development to supply chain issues, but I just want to highlight some of those examples to lift up the work that you are already doing to put these historic resources to use. And to make clear that I'm looking forward to hearing more success stories in your voices, as well as hearing about how we can be the best possible partner. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.